guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Liz and I'm going vegan while doing things a little extra each time. And today we're making vegan bacon bits. To get started on our bacon bits, we're going to basically follow your everyday type of vegan jerky recipe. And so for that, we're going to start with the classic soy curl. They look like this, they're hard, they're dry, so we're going to bring some life back into them and then rehydrate. So 1 bag of soy curls will equal 4 cups, and that's what you want, and you want to get them into a bowl. And now we're going to inject flavor into them before we even get them into the oven to dehydrate. So first we're starting dry, then we're going to inject them with moisture, but flavored moisture, and then dehydrate them with that flavor imparted on them. So what we're going to do now is take equal parts vegan chicken broth and veggie broth with a 1/4 teaspoon of vegan Worcestershire mixed in. That's just come off the boil. As you can see, the steam is still going. It's very hot, and we want to cover these soy curls with this liquid. So you need just enough liquid to cover them, and then we can pat them down and let them soak for a minimum of 10 minutes. This really doesn't need to be anything crazy because the soy curls are receptive to the liquid, that they're gonna just suck it all up. So really 10 minutes should be enough. So we'll come back in that amount of time and go from there. And now after 10 minutes, you can see there's no liquid in between. These have completely sopped up all the liquid. Now they're still kind of hot, which means we have to still wait a little bit of time, or if you want, you can run these under cold water to cool them down so that they're easier to now drain, because we have to press the excess moisture out before we put them in the oven. But I don't really recommend that method. I really would just wait until they cool so that we can press it out, because if you run them under the cold water, it's going to wash away some of that flavor that we've imparted on them. So I would just give it a little bit of time, and then you can either just squeeze these with your hand, but you don't want to break them up too crazy, or you can put them between dish towels, paper towels, whatever, and press it out. Kind of like, pressing tofu. So that's our next step. What I really like to do is take them from our bowl and transfer them into a big strainer. It does help to do this in batches. I just kind of put them all in here all at once. But you could transfer some of this out, do half, and then do again. And I like to just sit here and press them as much as possible and get the liquid out that way. At some point, this will, kind of just like bottom out, and there's only so much you're going to be able to press out. So then I do, after this step, like to transfer them to paper towels and press, just to get that last bit of moisture out. But there will still be a decent amount coming out from pressing. As you can see, it's a decent amount of liquid down there already. So I'm going to keep doing this, get them fully dry, and then I will wipe out this bowl, get them back in it, and we can start seasoning. I've got my soy curls that have been drained back into my bowl. They are ready to be even more seasoned. So now I know it seems counterproductive again, but we're going to add a little bit of liquid to these so that when they go in the oven, there's something to extract out. And it's also just going to be lots more awesome flavor. So we're going to start with the basics. Three tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to start with 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. This is going to be, a good chunk of our salt. Just a tablespoon of vinegar. If you have white vinegar, that's fine. I'm just using apple cider vinegar. just for a little bit of something something. And then we need a couple dashes of liquid smoke. No surprise there. That is our, big bacon flavor. You don't want to go overkill on this unless you really want it smoky, because that stuff is very, very powerful, and we're already going to be adding smoked paprika in addition. So that's another smoke element, and yeah, you just really don't want to overdo it. So as you can see, even just adding that amount of liquid really didn't, fully rehydrate our soy curls like soaking them in the broth did. So we're in a very good spot to continue. Now I'm gonna also add a touch of maple syrup, about a tablespoon's worth. Our oven is gonna be at such a low temperature, we don't have to worry about this burning. And I just like that sweet, salty touch, kind of like maple bourbon bacon. And then last but not least, I'm going to add some mustard for, again, a little bit of that tang that's going to work with the vinegar. If you have mustard powder, you can totally use like a quarter teaspoon to like half a teaspoon of that. But this also works just as well. Just going to be a half a tablespoon for me. And that is it for our wet ingredients. The rest are going to be all of our dry seasonings. But we just want to get that kind of worked in first. And you can give these a taste at any point in this process to see if you want to add more or less of any of these ingredients. So even though I know that we've got a lot of salty things in here, I'm still going to add just a pinch of salt. Next, I did like more like a full teaspoon of onion powder, then a good teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of paprika. That's what's going to give this slightest bit of heat behind that smoke. Then we've got a teaspoon of smoked paprika to, again, aid in that smokiness all the way through. Over here, we've got half a teaspoon of the Trader Joe's umami seasoning. This is completely optional. I just always love to add it for that more like beefy, unctuous flavor. But you totally don't have to. If you had like a mushroom powder, you could use that instead. Or this also, I believe, has like some red pepper flakes in it. So if you wanted a little bit of extra heat, you could just add a pinch of red pepper flakes. And then the piece de resistance is a full teaspoon of black pepper. I'm just someone who was a fan of that like really rich like peppered bacon as well as like peppered jerky. And again, as I've said before, we're starting with a base. This is going to end up being like jerky first before we turn it into bacon bits. So by all means, once we get to the next step of baking, you could stop there and have a really delicious like maple peppered jerky. So yeah, so the pepper, again, I guess is totally optional for you, but I really do think it just adds a little something that you're not expecting. So we just need to get this all mixed together now. So after getting this mixed and giving it a taste, I decided to add more smoked paprika, a little bit more garlic powder, and it's really hard to tell, but a little bit more salt. I know it's going to get more concentrated as it bakes and dehydrates, but I really want it to be that punch in your face, especially since we're going to crumble it into bits for the finished product. So I'll just get that stirred again. But again, that's what's so great with this is you can add as you please, because these are fine to taste at this point. So that's what makes this so customizable. And I'm not adding any more soy sauce or maple syrup. I feel like that sweetness is coming through, and as well as the heat from the pepper and the regular paprika. So I think we're good to now transfer this to our parchment lined baking sheets. And this is what our jerky looks like on our 2 baking sheets. I know I poured it all out onto one to start, but then I always like transfer to another because you really want to be able to see gaps in between the pieces. I know it's a lot harder to do when you include like the crumbles in the soy curl bag. So I have done this where you just painstakingly pick out, more of the bigger pieces. If you want to take the time to do that, by all means, it comes out really well. And then you're more able to evenly space the baking sheets. But it's not that big of a deal to me in the end result. So I just didn't bother doing that this time. But yeah, you want these to be in a single layer. Cannot stress that enough. You should definitely see gaps in your sheet that you can see through. So yeah, now we're going to get these into a 250-degree Fahrenheit oven. And this is the long haul where we're going to leave them in for an hour to start. Then we're going to give them a toss every so often. You can give them a toss every half an hour. If you really want to be dedicated, you could do it every hour, but we're going to give it a good hour to start, and then we're going to check on them. Because ovens vary, the cooking time is not set in stone. For me, I've had it take 2 hours before. It has taken randomly 1.5 hours before, so it all depends. But yeah, let's get these into the oven to start dehydrating. These are our jerky after 30 minutes. Just gonna give them a toss. You're gonna do this out of the oven so you can completely toss them and then get them all separated again. But you can see there's still moisture at the bottom. So you know that they'll be closer to done when a lot of that moisture goes away. And even just pressing them, you can tell they're still pretty soft. So yeah, we'll toss these and then get them back in the oven. After an hour and a half in my oven, this is our finished jerky. So as you can see, no more liquid or any moisture at the bottom. When you toss them around, there's that crunch, that click clack, and that's what you want. These are absolutely delicious little nuggets. Let's see if I can get a bigger one. Do you see this? And the texture is like chicken. It's so good, guys. It's really, really delicious. Now, I will say that these are great as they are right now, but to really let them transform, you want to put them in an airtight closed container for a day, and then they will get that even better jerky chew, and that's even going to be better for the bacon bits. For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to wait a day. I'm going to show you how I transform these further for salad purposes, for potato purposes, whatever you feel like putting bacon bits on, to your heart's content. So let's get into it. Get started on our bacon bits. What you want to do is get a skillet up on pretty high heat, at least medium to medium high heat, because we're going to kind of char and roast these jerky pieces even further. Now you can totally put oil in the pan and kind of give them that extra sear, but it's not necessary. So if you're someone who wants to avoid oil and all that, you definitely don't have to put it in here. You can just leave them dry. Now what we want to do, you just put the amount of soy curls in that you want to turn into bacon bits. The rest you can enjoy as jerky. And what we want to do is impart a little extra flavor on them again, just so that it sears to the outside as we're frying them. So I'm gonna put a couple more dashes of liquid smoke. Oh, it smells so good. And then a little bit more of smoked paprika. And you just want to keep giving them a toss. You're going to see them start to get this like they're going to take on this like extra crispy color here, and that's what we're looking for. That's what you want. Oh, it smells so good in here right now, guys. Like fried bacon. It's awesome. So yeah, here they are off the heat. Like I said, they got a lot of that really awesome charred bit on them, and that's just, you know, extra goodness. And now we're just gonna chop these up. And there's our bacon bits. You can chop them obviously to as small as you want them. I still like to be able to, you know, taste them in a salad. So this is kind of like the optimum size for me. I just think it's like, it's so cute. It's just the perfect little bacon bit. And yeah, this is, I don't recommend doing this in a food processor or blender. It will literally just, I mean, you'll notice just from like chopping it, they'll literally turn to dust. So you really don't want to do that. But yeah, guys, they just smell so good. I love throwing these in salads. It's a great way to get extra protein with like very little carbs. Like it's just so good. And, you know, if you're concerned at all that these aren't as, you know, red as bacon, in the original like marinade and when we were putting in all the seasonings, you can totally throw in a little bit of beet juice, and that will, you know, make everything red. You can also significantly up the amount of smoked paprika, but again, that would like more affect the flavor than the beet juice. So if that's really like a concern, like an aesthetic concern for you, go with beet juice. That's totally doable. Doesn't really affect the flavor as long as you like off-put it with the amount of veggie chicken broth mixture. So yeah, that's one way to get the color, but I think this is gorgeous enough. And like I said, like at the optimum size, like to me that's convincing enough, and it's delicious. So that's what matters. But yeah, I hope you liked this recipe. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and while you're at it, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell next to it so you're notified when new videos go up, and I will see you all next time. Bye!